One of the greatest challenges in photography is that the world is full of distractions. We stand in front of an incredible landscape, a beautiful person, or an interesting moment, yet when we look through the viewfinder, something feels different. The scene that looks so captivating with our own eyes suddenly feels busy and confusing. That's because our eyes naturally focus on what's important, while the camera records everything equally. Learning to frame a photograph is really about helping the camera see the way you do. When most people hear the word frame, they immediately think about the edges of a photograph, but photographers use the word in another way. Framing is the art of placing something around your subject that naturally draws attention towards it. It might be a doorway, a window, an archway, tree branches, a cave entrance, or even the shadow cast by a building. These elements don't become the subject themselves. Instead, they quietly guide the viewer towards what matters most. Think about walking through an old stone archway and looking out towards a castle in the distance. If you photograph only the castle, it's simply a building. But include the archway around it, and suddenly the viewer feels as though they're standing exactly where you stood. The photograph becomes more than a record of a place. It becomes an experience. Framing works because our brains naturally pay attention to anything that surrounds another object. It's a visual cue we've relied on our entire lives. When something is enclosed, highlighted, or separated from its surroundings, we instinctively believe it's important. Good photographers use that instinct to strengthen the story they are trying to tell. One of the most beautiful things about framing is that it creates depth. Photography takes a three-dimensional world and compresses it into a flat image. By placing something close to the camera in the foreground and allowing it to surround the subject in the distance, the photograph immediately feels more immersive. The viewer no longer feels like they're looking at a picture. They feel like they're standing inside the scene. Portrait photographers use framing all the time, often without realizing it. A model standing between two trees, a photograph through a doorway, or someone sitting inside the frame of a window all create a natural visual path towards the face. Even a person's own hands can become a frame when positioned thoughtfully around the face. Framing doesn't always have to be physical either. Light can become a frame. A beam of sunlight falling across a face while the rest of the room remains dark instantly isolates the subject. Shadows can do exactly the same thing. A splash of color surrounded by muted tones creates another form of framing because the eye immediately notices the contrast. Like every compositional technique, framing only works when it supports the story. If the doorway, branches, or foreground object become more interesting than the subject itself, the photograph loses its balance. The frame should guide the eye, not compete for attention. One mistake beginners often make is standing too far away. They notice a beautiful archway, but photograph it from a distance, leaving the frame as just another object in the scene. Instead, step closer. Let the frame fill the edges of the photograph so the viewer feels as though they're looking through it. The closer you get, the stronger the effect often becomes. Here's something I'd like you to try. The next time you're out with your camera, don't look for interesting subjects first. Instead, spend 10 minutes looking for interesting frames. Walk through buildings, parks, or even your own home and notice doorways, windows, fences, tree branches, and reflections. Once you've found a frame, wait for the right subject to enter it. You'll quickly discover that photographs often reveal themselves when you stop chasing them and start observing the world more carefully. Photography isn't just about pointing a camera at something beautiful. It's about discovering ways to guide the viewer's attention with intention. Every doorway, every branch, every shadow, and every window has the potential to become part of the story. Once you begin recognizing frames, you'll realize they've been surrounding you all along. In our next lesson, we'll explore balance and visual weight, and you'll discover why some photographs feel calm and satisfying while others seem awkward, even when you can't immediately explain why.